pages flop. I don't mind.
Randy, welcome to the Layered Onion podcast. So excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Maybe you could introduce yourself to our audience.
Randy Glysch from the village of Oregon. A little background related to art is always loved kind of art as a kid. Liked to draw. Was in the Navy actually for 8 years, and then I finally went to college from the GI Bill, and I wanted to be an architect. So kind of art and architecture has kind of always been sort of part of my life. And then right now I'm a stained glass maker. I've been doing stained glass for about, I think I'm going on 15 years.
15 years, okay.
15 years, and really has sort of been a hobby type thing for me, but it has evolved. I like to do it. I'm retired now from the state, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I do also teach psychology classes at Madison College. I've been doing that for 25 years. Just finished an 8-week summer class online and getting ready to do it.
So you're not really retired?
Not really retired. Getting ready to start another 16-week in a couple weeks in person.
Oh, well, that'll be fun, actually.
So, I've been village trustee for a couple of years, and then I actually got the honor to be village president. Helped raise money for the library, the youth center, the food pantry, and then we'll talk more about the public art. Wrote the grant for the public art.
Well, why don't we go to that right now? Just because I think it's such an interesting effort. You love art.
Yes.
But somehow you turn that passion into bringing art or tourism through art into the village of Oregon. Maybe you could talk a little bit. What was the genesis of that idea?
So I had a lot of conversations being an artist myself, and I knew, I mean, you go anywhere in the village, the coffee shops and things, there was display of art. I knew that we had a lot of talented local artists and a lot of diversity in terms of the types of art that we had.
Mm-hmm.
We finally turned the Welcome Center into the Art Center now. So I think there was some talk about, how are we going to do this? I had no idea. How do we get these sculptures? I mean, a lot of times they're $50,000, $60,000 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of talk before COVID came. I worked with the village. The village said I could write a grant. We wrote a grant for $100,000, the tourism grant. And, part of my thinking was that not only to bring more art to the village and highlight the great artists that we had, but also get people to come to the village, help their businesses and the community. I think art kind of gives this sense of place. Kind of when you see it, it's like, oh, they must care. They care about the community. So that's kind of sort of how it started. We actually got hooked up with Eau Claire.
How'd you find Eau Claire?
Somebody, I think, gave me a name. And I don't know if you know, Eau Claire does 80 to 90 sculptures.
Oh, my goodness.
A year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we were able to partner with them, basically, kind of under their umbrella. We get sculptures from them. The sculptures are on loan for a year. And when they first told me, it's like, well, the artist does it for $1,000 for a year. And I'm, wow, I didn't think they would. But if you ever been an artist, you like to get your name out there.
Right,
so
right.
A lot of artists do it. So that's kind of how we started. We had enough money for 3 years. We're in our second year. We did 5 from Eau Claire first year, 8 this year, and then we can do 8 next year. And then this year, in addition to that, we did a little bit the first year. I'm interested in reaching out to some of our local and just working with them with an agreement to bring some of their art. And so with the 8 that we have from through Eau Claire this year, there's like 6 or 7 local artists. And that's kind of how it has evolved. I think right now we're up to with the wrap, and we started wrapping some of the traffic boxes and branching out, and I think we're up to like 30 pieces.
Well, what have you, from a village perspective, what has been the reaction both of the community, of the businesses, and really even of the village government to, bringing art? And have they seen a difference? Has it brought tourism? What do you think?
It's a good question. I think that the village has always been supportive. They supported me right in the grant, and when we got it, everybody was excited. So I should say too that in addition to the tourism grant, I also wrote a grant from the Wisconsin Arts
Board,
and then also Dane Arts.
Okay.
And then this year, we also got a grant from the Madison Community Foundation.
Okay.
As well. So I think people have been pleased. I mean, if you look at Facebook, very rarely do you see a negative comment about them. And when we tell them it's no taxpayer money, I think some people then are a little bit more relieved because they think we're spending, taxpayer money on this stuff. And it really, typically when I do a project, I try really, really hard not to burden taxpayers and to raise the money to be able to do what we want to do. So, and I hope, I don't have any strong data. I hope it's brought people to come in to see it. We have a website so people can come and download and go from.
Well, let's.
Yeah, right there.
Here.
Yeah. So, we have the listing of all the sculptures, the pictures, maps where people can go and see. And I know people have done this, which is good. And we're expanding and doing different things each year that we do this. So we just updated it because we got the two new ones.
Right. Well, I live in the village, as you know.
Yes.
And I walk a lot, and it's always fun to kind of, run into a piece. And the first time you see it, you might think one thing. And then, of course, with art, as you always know, especially something that's a bit more abstract, you end up seeing something completely different. Last year, there was the piece where I think people saw a lot of differences was Rosie the Riveter on top of the world.
Yes.
And I saw it as a girl power piece.
Yes. Yeah.
And other people saw it completely different.
And that's the great thing about art. You can see whatever you want. I will tell you that was probably the most popular piece.
It was amazing, because it was a little girl.
A lot of messages.
Yeah, dressed up as Rosie the Riveter and thinking about that power that happened back in that day. Yeah, I thought that was really a very powerful piece.
The one that was probably most controversial, or maybe most comments, was the upside down giraffes.
Oh.
People had a lot of things to say about that piece.
Okay. So this year, do you have a piece that you think is going to create the most interest?
Well, I think where Rosie was, there's a ballerina, a sculpture, metal sculpture of a woman kind of laid back. That one, people, we get a lot of comments there. And we purposely put her there because we know that's a popular spot. Other than that, I haven't heard.
I like the picnic table one.
The picnic table, and their local artist who Stoudt.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
And so the committee is really good about trying to pick a variety, and I think we did a really good job this year in picking our pieces. But the first time, I think wasn't too long when that was up. I was downtown and I saw this couple probably in their 80s, and they were over there taking pictures of each other at the picnic table,
which is awesome.
Yeah. So Linda, I should tell you too that one of the things that because we're interested in art is last year was our first art fair.
Yes.
And it was very successful. And we just completed, obviously, in June, the second year. And it was good for, it's important that it's good for the artists. And it's a smaller venue, typically 24, 25 artists. And the artists like that because it's a sort of an intimate type of art fair. And so they tend to do well. And it gets people down into the village, come and visit. So it's good for everybody, but that has also helped.
Well, and as you know, for many artists, it's really hard to make a living.
Yes.
And so any venues or opportunities that we can give is really a positive when it's your chosen profession.
Yeah.
And I think, sometimes people will expect something to be, they don't appreciate all the time and effort that went into it, for sure.
One of our goals is, although we have one more year with Eau Claire, is that we continue, because especially to me, is I want to make sure that our local talent gets showcased. And so we've been reaching out to as many local artists. A good example is the Buffalo. I saw that in his garage hanging several months ago. It had been hanging there for 20 years.
Oh.
And that's exactly who we want to find and celebrate the talent.
That's right here. Right.
Right here. And so we want to do more of that. The other thing I should say is we've been lucky. This year was the first year that we had some local businesses sponsor.
Oh, pieces. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one thing I want to talk about is sort of the idea of combining art and the local businesses so that you create more of that community approach. Yep. And the 2 coffee shops have art galleries within them.
Yep.
But by these businesses supporting a sculpture by them. But I think that creates a real sense of community.
It does. I mean, it's a sense of, that we use that word sense of place, but it makes you feel good to be part of the village. So it's sort of like, oh, this community cares. Look at the great art they have for people to see. It also gets people out. It doesn't cost anything to go see the pieces. So I think that's important. And we support our artists.
And let's talk about your own piece.
Yeah.
You have a piece, you had a piece in last year and you have a piece in this year?
It's the same. Actually, what I did is it's a stained glass panel.
Okay.
Which is currently at the Village Hall.
And then is that this piece here?
No, this is something
that's different.
That's something new.
Okay.
But anyway, what I did is I created and I donated it so the village owns it.
Oh, okay.
So they can do whatever it was downtown. Now it's at Village Hall. So they own it. I donate it to them.
So why don't we talk a little bit about stained glass?
Yeah.
Because I know there's a couple, you can do a foil stained glass and then lead.
Yep.
And maybe kind of talk about the two and which direction do you usually go?
Okay. So most people, when they start with stained glass making, it's usually foil. And foil means that you have copper foil and you wrap the entire piece, every piece of glass, and then you solder the pieces sort of together.
Oh, so you actually wrap the glass with the color? How do you get,
the color you buy the
Okay.
glass is already in color.
Okay.
And I will say that even during COVID, all our local, we don't have anymore. They're all shut down. And so people like me, I have to get my stuff online from Illinois or Maryland, and it's gotten quite expensive.
Okay.
But most people start out with foil, wrapping foil, and I do use foil. And the reason I use foil is when I do lampshades, because lead is heavy.
Okay.
And so you picture a big lamp, you could not have it lead; it would all fall because lead is very soft.
Well, I'm going to grab one of these pieces right now.
Now this is lead.
This is lead, and neither of these are foil, right?
Right. None of them are foil.
Maybe you could explain it a little bit. So
in part of my sort of direction, I try to use high quality glass. You'll see that the clear is not actually just clear.
Right.
It's antique glass. It's got little marks in it.
Mm-hmm.
And my direction lately is I always try to do new things. This is kind of an abstract piece I did a couple months ago. And sort of when I create, sometimes, and artists will understand this, things just come to you. Mm-hmm. Ideas. And I like that, be spontaneous. So, but this is a small piece. I did Ziggy's. If you ever,
yeah.
Those things.
That's a restaurant in the village.
I did those for the building.
Okay.
So my pieces vary, and then can we show the one with the? I also am a fan of wood, and so Courtesan oak is a favorite of mine. So this is courtesan oak. Again, this is another abstract piece. I like that. I'm in the Frank Lloyd Wright. A lot of my pieces are Frank Lloyd Wright-ish, but sometimes I want to go in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I like simple. I like how in the light.
Yeah, it can be.
And for this type of glass that I use, whether it's dark or gloomy outside or sunny, the glass pops, and that's important. And it may change depending upon how much light there is.
Maybe you could talk a minute, because you can see this on both pieces. Your trademark is to put a red corner.
Yeah, right. That's my business, red corner art glass.
Okay, red
so
corner.
typically I put that in. That's my trademark in my pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we would always know it's yours.
Yes.
So very cool.
And so do you want to show I have expanded to the outdoor. That's your piece now. That's just a little tiny piece. I also like texture. Linda, that little one you have, I like texture.
Right.
Yeah. So
very nice.
So the picture you have is just I've been expanding to outdoor sculptures and garden. I'm also a master gardener. So
which is important, for art really has a home in a garden.
Yeah. And so this combines my love of color. It'll change the bright colors. I like that. And the design is designed by me with a Frank Lloyd Wright kind of inspiration, and it goes nicely in gardens. So
yeah, it looks
so on
lovely.
the tour, I'm going to have a few more of these.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You mean throughout the village?
No, in
which tour?
The regional art tour.
The regional art tour. Okay.
So they'll be for sale, actually.
Well, cool. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the regional art tour then.
So this will be my second year. This will be my second last. I'm do one more year, but it's basically artists from all over like Dane counties. I mean, I think this year, we have 15 or 16, and maybe if anybody they set up for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. So like it'll be set up at my house. All my pieces will be probably in the garage or out in the driveway, and the lamps will be sort of because I'll be selling lamps as well.
And when is this?
I want to say it's September 14th and 15th, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So it's coming up.
Okay.
And so it's a tour because people can come, and believe it or not, it's amazing how many people come to buy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be a sort of all kind of high quality stuff, and kind of a nice thing to see some of the diversity of artists and the quality.
And it's all over Dane County, you said?
It's a mixture there. It's in some in Oregon, some in Stoughton. I think there is one in Sun Prairie.
Okay.
There might be one in Brooklyn.
Okay.
There might be one in Edgerton. So
it's sort of the
southeast.
right, southeast.
Yeah.
So as you think of the future and thinking about both the role you've had in bringing art to the Village of Oregon and you as an artist, what do you really dream, or what do you think would be just the next?
Well, one of the things that is always on sort of my mind is, can we sustain this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons that we've been trying to get businesses, because we can do it. Eau Claire charges us $3,000 per sculpture every year.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it on our own for $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot cheaper, and we can get a lot more sculptures. And again, we get to celebrate the local artists, which is important to us. So always looking at sort of ways how we're going to sustain this and keep it going, because this is our second year with the funding. We have one more year, and then we'll see what happens. Funding is tough.
It is tough. It is tough in the arts, and I
think we're 49th.
Yes. We had Mark on the program, and we talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
Just the lack compared to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Where they have a percentage. I can't even remember what the percentage is
out of their budget.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of places have that.
Yeah, and we just do not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the future.
So, and it's such a powerful tool of bringing people in.
I will say too that we've been lucky. I've been lucky to work with. We have a great public works staff in terms of the support of the village, and Jeff Rao and Nick and all the guys in public works. We were just out there putting up the buffalo and stuff. How lucky, that we are to have them to help us, because some of these sculptures are huge and heavy, and they help us install them and things. So we're lucky that way.
So what's next steps for you?
For me, I don't know. I don't know in terms. I like the idea that I kind of went to outdoor. I have some other outdoor sculptures, but I think most artists, you're always looking. It's a development thing, looking for ways to sort of, okay, what's next? We'll see. As long as it's fun for me, and I don't do too many commissions because that's like work. I would rather, I want it to be fulfilling and create,
and then let people appreciate it.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
So the other thing that I think is just really interesting, you didn't come to the village until, later.
Yes.
And you dove headfirst into getting involved with the village, whether it be fundraising for the library or the Tin Man or all the different. And for those that don't know, the Tin Man is the original water tower.
Yes.
And been there since when?
1899, I think.
Okay.
And had been tried to, well, at first obviously it was wood, and then it got in 1920, it was changed over to the metal. But had been tried to be renovated several times, and even the building too. A lot of people said, "Let's just tear that damn thing down," and we saved it. You're right. I was only here a couple of weeks, and so I know you're a master gardener. Why don't we do something around the old pump house? And that's kind of how it started. And luckily, I have to say, I get credit, but I happened to find some very generous. Actually, it was a retired school teacher from the village who several times for the helped on the pump house, but the food pantry gave me $550,000 for the food pantry, gave me $800,000 for the youth center, and gave me $1 million for the library. So I've been very fortunate to have that person who actually now lives in Madison. Yeah.
How ironic, huh? So, but it really takes a special person to not just see the need, but then just to dive in. Yeah.
And I think part of her reason for, she could have just done one thing and say, okay, I'm done. It's about, and my major is in psychology. It's about relationships. And I think after the first, even the Tin Man and the pump house, she saw that, this guy says he's going to do it, he can do it. And so it wasn't, she didn't say no to the other things. Sometimes I wasn't sure if I should ask her again, but I did, and she came through.
But I want to celebrate your effort in that too, because I think it takes a special person to even have the gumption to ask.
Yeah. And I actually, before Oregon, I lived here in Madison on the east side, and I was president of my neighborhood for 17 years.
Okay.
And we were very successful. We got a lot of city grants and things. So it's not like I was starting new.
So you had experience.
I've always been pretty good about trying to find money. Yeah.
So, well, good for the village that you moved down there.
Yeah. It's been good. It's been fun.
Has it felt like such a different experience in East Madison? I mean, it's a very different environment.
I like 'cause it's quieter. and the village is people are very pleasant. I mean, not that they weren't pleasant here, but it's
it's small town.
It is. I like that. Yeah.
I think that because there's enough space between it and Madison, it doesn't really feel suburbia. Right. It feels more small town.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you want to kind of share or talk about?
So I think the only thing is that we're going to sort of continue to try to promote the sculpture tour, get as many people to come and take a look at what we've done. I think it's important that we help the village and the businesses if we can, and come and see what I think is we've created a nice village. It was great before, but we're continuing to make it better.
So if a particular business is interested in sponsoring sculpture, they should just reach out to you?
Just reach out to me, and we'll find an artist and a piece of sculpture. We love it.
Well, I'm excited, and I'm excited for your stained glass event in September, and look forward to that, and hope that you have great success there.
I'm sure I will.
Okay, and then you and I need to keep talking about other things we can do.
Yeah, we have a couple ideas, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, good.
Well, thanks for coming,
All right.
Randy. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.